Hello everyone, Tarryn the Traveling Trainer of GoTarryn Personal Training here in the greater Atlanta area for episode 543, and momentarily we're going to be having all the way from Stuart, Florida, Mr. Shaun George back on GoTarryn TV. But before we get to Shaun, I want to invite everyone out there to please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and while you're watching today's video blog, if you'd be so kind as to like the video, leave us a comment, and share it on your social media with all of your friends and family. Now, as far as Shaun George goes, he is coming back here on GoTarryn TV because I'm going to be asking him some questions related to drugs and alcohol. Why? Because here in the United States, it is National Health and Awareness Drug and Alcohol Addiction Week, and that's right, that's why we're going to be talking about that. So I'm going to be tying in some topics of discussion with drugs and alcohol and addiction and how it relates to fitness, health, and wellness here momentarily. So be sure to stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to be having Shaun George right here on GoTarryn TV. And before we do, remember, Tarryn the Traveling Trainer always tells each and every one of you that it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. Okay, folks, we're back, and as you can see, side by side, another gentleman is back here with us on GoTarryn TV, Mr. Shaun George out of Stuart, Florida. Shaun, how are you doing down there?
Doing pretty good, Tarryn.
Very good. Well, I bet you anything we're a lot colder up here than you are, because we're having a wintry weather advisory this weekend where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm sure it's much colder there. It's been all sunshine here.
You are
Pretty
really
hot.
lucky.
Hot, yeah.
I'm very envious. I need to get down there. My parents just moved to Florida since you and I last spoke. They're down in, not too close to you, but they're down in Sandestin, which is near Destin, Panama City Beach area. So I know that's way more north than where you're at, but still much better than being in the cold, freezing Atlanta weather right now.
Yeah, I hear you on that. But yeah, we had a little cold snap about a week ago, and it only lasted for about 2 days, and it was back to being hot again instantly.
Oh, wow. Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You get a little further south here. We're kind of right across from Lake Okeechobee, basically down by Palm Beach. And so yeah, when you get down this way, it warms up pretty quick.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just as a joke, but I'm sure cold for you is like, oh, it got down to the 60s today.
Basically, that's what they call cold here.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And how is our mutual friend Tony Iannuzzi doing? Have you run into him at the Tequesta Fitness Center lately, or?
Yeah, I have not seen Tony since probably the wedding, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, since the wedding, I have not seen him in the gym, so I don't even know if he's a member there anymore, to be honest. Have you heard from him, or?
I haven't. Oh, no, I figured, I thought you might know his whereabouts, because I've been trying to get him on one of these interviews, too, to do a Skype blog. But last time I talked to him was a little bit after the wedding. We did a show with him. With my other co-host on that other show, Direct Talk, and so that's the last I've heard from him. So hopefully he's doing well. If he's watching, Tony, give us a call. Call me and Shaun.
Yeah, we'll have to have to give him a call or something, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's great. And Shaun, again, here we are. This is one of the very first video blogs. Actually, no, this is the first one you and I are doing of the new year, isn't it? Because we've had the new year. For the folks watching New Year's resolutions, hopefully people are still on them, and especially the ones you and I take to heart, the fitness and health resolutions that they've made. So let me ask you a personal question before we jump into the topic of discussion today. Did you have any New Year's resolutions?
No, I didn't even make one. No. How about yourself?
Not really. Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm the same with you as well. I find that every year that goes by, I'm more and more that way with, like, it's just another day. I think I treat it like my birthday. It's just like, okay, it's my birthday, not a big deal. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm about the same way, I think. It's to make any more of it than it is. I mean, I guess I'm just thankful to be into a new year, and it's good to set goals and all that, but I try not to make it like, any more than any other day, basically. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think we need to be, treating each day as important. Have you seen a spike in activity at the gym at the Tequesta Fitness Center?
100%. Big spike. Big spike. But, the spike happened before the new year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just it's doing really well. It's doing good. So, yeah, it's doing well. The training's really, really picked up. And, so I'm probably the busiest I've ever been training, I think, I'm finally building a clientele and getting some new clients and everything. So it's really the training's really picked up.
I'm glad to hear that. That's excellent. And
Yeah.
that's really,
Yeah.
really good. So you're keeping yourself pretty busy. And how is the family and how's everyone doing at home?
Yeah, everybody's doing good. Just everything's the same there pretty much, working, kids going to school, that kind of thing. And so everything's the same with the family. How
Good.
about yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, everything's good. Thank you. Everything's very well here. I'm starting a new gig part time. I'll be teaching as an instructor at Georgia State University. I'll be lecturing a couple of classes a week on physical activity and exercise science. So
Oh,
looking
oh,
forward to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, how did you manage to get into that scenario?
Long story short, I have been having interns working for me from Georgia State for the last 3 years, and I
Mhm.
met the intern coordinator face to face for the very first time, and she
Mhm.
said, "Would you be interested?" I said, "Absolutely," and here we are. So I'll start next week, actually. So,
Wow,
yeah,
fantastic.
it's a cool. Yeah. I was really happy that that happened. But
Yeah.
so yeah, since you and I last spoke, a lot of things happening right now, and again, I'm glad to hear everything's going well, Sean. That's perfect. That's really great. Keep those people motivated, keep them working out.
Mhm.
Today, of course, I brought you on because Sean, not only to reconnect, but what I was going to do was pick a topic of January of a national health observance. One of them being in January, National Drugs and Alcohol Awareness Week, and
Mhm.
so. First question right off the bat, and I guess anybody could watch right now. I'm sure that they know someone who's dealt with either drugs or alcohol as a problem. But we've seen that recently, as we talked before we were recording about like celebrities, because that's who we hear about all the time. When we're watching TV or water cooler talk, our clients they'll be telling us, "Oh, did you hear Carrie Fisher died? Did you hear that her mother died the next day?" I mean, everything just goes, and a lot of these cases, I'm not going to single any of the celebrities out, but you do hear about them living a hard lifestyle. So, getting back to
Mhm.
my question, I'm sorry, it's a fully loaded question, but have you yourself dealt with, and it doesn't have to be clients, but have you seen this in the past, whether it be friends or family, having a drug or alcohol problem?
Yeah, I have actually, and it's a funny thing. I don't know, you know, um, I don't know. I guess I just feel that when people go through things, you don't know how to pinpoint where the source of the problem is. I guess I should say it that way,
Hmm.
and maybe it's best to not try to figure it out, but maybe it's better to try to figure out the solution. I guess,
Mm.
but obviously it does exist in the world, and but I have seen it in particular, probably more the alcohol thing more than the drugs, but probably a little bit of both. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because usually you do find that when someone has alcohol struggles, there might be drugs involved, and then vice versa. Conversely, when they're
Sure.
doing drugs, they're usually spending money on booze. And so,
Mhm.
obviously, that's one of the things when you and I meet new clients or potential new
Mhm.
fitness center members, when we're going through our health history questionnaire with them, or when we're asking them a PAR-Q form and we're talking about any bad habits, and they might tell us, well, I'm a smoker, or, I try to get really deep, and it's almost like a psychological analysis that we do as personal trainers.
Mhm.
But again, obviously not to name any names, but in the past, have you had any personal training clients that you were aware of that had a drug or alcohol problem?
Um, no, I mean, I may
Okay.
get, somebody that may come in with the smell of booze on their breath,
Sure.
but nobody I can directly say that's had a problem,
Good.
but maybe just kind of the a regular drinker, maybe somebody that might have a six pack every night or something like that. So I don't know what the cutoff line is in terms of problem or whatever. But for the most part, no. I would say most of my clients may have a couple of glasses of wine at night or something like that,
Hmm.
um, and then some don't drink at all. So, but for the most part, I'd say no.
And is that something, Sean, that you regularly will encourage them? Like, for example, if they're going to a party and they're like, "Oh, I'm sure I'm going to get plastered drunk," but do you tell them, I guess, "Hey, take it easy. Make sure you don't have more than a couple of glasses of wine," or is that something that's just not discussed much?
Yeah, I guess I probably pretty much. I mean, for the most part, I mean, they're adults. I train maybe a younger person here and there
Hmm.
that may not be even of age to drink, and usually that topic won't even come up. But for the most part, they're grown people, so I don't need to tell them how to live their life. But I do at times try to impart, things like I don't really drink myself. I don't really drink. I mean, I'll have a drink once a year or something like that. But I do try to impart my lifestyle in some way, not in a condemning way, but I do try to steer people away from it if I can. I know a glass of wine is not going to kill anybody or anything like that necessarily. Hopefully if they don't get a car wreck, but I pretty much, lifestyle to me, it's more of what do you do on a regular basis? I don't need to tell anybody to behave when they're going out. They know better. They know by now that, what drugs and alcohol are. And I do believe that alcohol is pretty much just as bad as drugs sometimes. It's very addictive to people. It can obviously affect your responses and reflexes and things like that. I know some people do it just to relax a little and unwind, and that's become part of their daily routine. But I will, through the course of time, I think, try to steer a lifestyle into their direction. I won't, like I said, condemn them for drinking or anything like that. But I will just try to guide them and say there's an alternative. You don't have to maybe go that direction for stress relief or something like that. There is another way, and whether it be working out or some other method, there's definitely another method. You don't have to, hit the bottle at night, so to speak.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, it definitely works against if their goals, if they're seeing you as a trainer, I want to get in better shape, I want to get healthier. Well, then, like you said, that would be, not very conducive to being part of the program or plan for them. But I did want to say, you had mentioned that, it's definitely a problem. And when I did a research on the past 2 or 3 years of deaths, and I'm just generalizing here, but causes of death from research of the top 10 in America, cardiovascular disease was way by far number one, all the way at the top. But also on that list, on the top 10 down there, was also drug-induced deaths and alcohol-induced deaths. So drug-induced deaths were some 46,000 the previous year, so this is 2015 analysis, and then the alcohol-related deaths were 29,000 that year in 2015. So I thought that was just really staggering, and it's a shame that every time, and I mentioned this before we started recording, but when the television's on or when we're on Facebook and talking to our friends, first thing we hear about is almost like a glorification of some of these celebrities. Oh, so-and-so was really hard on drugs, or they were an alcoholic. And it's a shame because I think a lot of these celebrities who we emulate after and who we try to put up on a pedestal, they're not really giving the greatest examples. And I'm not just talking about the celebrities who die, but we find out oh yeah, they were really hard into drugs but look at some of the celebrities too that are role models for children. Like, for example, and again, I will name some here, like maybe like Justin Bieber or Miley Cyrus. You hear about the bad boy and the bad girls in terms of, oh yeah, they're seen at parties drinking the booze, and you hear about them smoking pot. So I think that's a big problem right there as well. So as far as preventatively, what's your thoughts on that in terms of, like, let's say you're training somebody young and they're really into that, and you don't want them to go down that path. Is that something that you try to kind of give them coaching on, and being like more, I guess, mentor to tell them, hey, this is the way that you want to live your lifestyle, not so much the drugs and alcohol?
Yeah, if the opportunity presents itself, I definitely will. I think it starts at home. And if it gets to the point where I have to say something as a trainer, or then for some reason it didn't happen at the house, for whatever reason, or maybe it did, and maybe that person's still straying a little bit, and just curious and trying to find their way in life. So there may be a time where I can say something and try to help guide them the right way. So I definitely would speak up if I felt the time was right. And, but I'm a firm believer that it starts at home. And because we are in a world that is basically right things are looked at as wrong, and wrong things are looked at like they're right now and
Yeah.
normal.
Hmm.
And the musicians and the athletes, and a lot of them are just not setting good examples, unfortunately. And on the flip side, I do think there are a lot of ones that are trying to do the right thing. Um, and I just think that the world is a different place. I was just looking on the news at the gym before I came home, and there was a gunman in Fort Lauderdale down here that just shot some people down here a
Oh
couple hours
no.
south.
Oh
Yeah,
my
about an hour.
God.
Yeah,
Oh
just about an
wow.
hour and a half south of us here. And you can flip on the news and see it tonight, I'm sure.
Wow. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So I mean, it's just things are happening left and right, obviously. But we do live in a world where we're surrounded with some dark things, and I think some of the youth are exposed, obviously, to those things. The internet. I mean, there's just things at your fingertips now that just were not there when I was growing up, and just information, and sometimes good information, sometimes not good information is out there, plastered in front of the youth and everybody for that matter. But so I think at home it has to start at home, and I think that the parents need to warn the kids about even the school systems and what some of the stuff that my kids were saying they were reading in school
Mm.
books. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And
Mm.
some of the classes and the teachers and just weird stuff. And I was like, I can't even believe this is in the school system.
Wow.
And they're letting you watch movies like that, and they're letting you read books like that. I mean, that was just like forbidden, back in the day. But and then some of it's just not educational. I'm sorry, but actually, I'm not sorry. But anyways, so yeah, I think the parents need to tell their children at home, this is what's out there in the world. And just because so and so is doing it, if they're a celebrity or looked up to or not, doesn't matter. You need to carry yourself in a certain way. And also let the children know why you don't get into drugs, why you don't get into alcohol, and this is what it can do to a life. Because I can see it be appealing. I
Hmm.
can see how it could be the curiosity factor,
Hmm.
and sometimes there's stress and pressures, and everybody's looking for an escape of some sort. What can, numb me up from this, feeling or thoughts or whatever, and what can, where's the escape? Where's the escape route, basically? And I think that's why these celebrities and kids nowadays are turning to things because that's their escape in some way. So.
Good answers on that, Sean. I like what you touched on. Let me ask you about this because if Tony Nuzzi's watching, both he and I, as you probably know, we're big time professional wrestling fans growing up, and there was always like the big stigma, and I'm sure you've seen it, of wrestlers dying very young. Like we're talking under age 40, and it's usually because of not so much probably alcohol. I'm sure that didn't help any, but it's usually because of some kind of controlled substances, drugs, painkillers, and steroids, which is very prevalent in that world and in that industry. But to specifically point out, like let's say steroids, for example, or and painkillers, have you seen people abuse that, or have had experience of just seeing that, in different areas of life or sports or what have you?
Well, I can tell you that I trained a couple pro athletes, and a baseball player and a football player. Two buddies came into my gym one day when I worked in a boxing gym,
Hmm.
and the baseball player stuck with me longer than the football player. And as I got to know him more, he would tell me about the football player. He said, these guys at halftime, they'd be all beat up and stuff like that, and they inject them with painkillers on the
Mm.
sidelines and stuff like that, and basically numb these guys back up and send them right back out there.
Wow.
And I'm sure the world of professional wrestling is full of it.
Hmm.
And if you look at what their bodies go through and what they do for a living, um, I think just a thought, but I think some people can handle, controlling certain things.
Hmm.
And then some people, they just get addicted to certain things for whatever reason. And, I think, and you're in that line of work and, you're getting, busted up basically. I could see how a person would take a painkiller,
Yeah.
and, is it up to me to say, I mean, obviously the black market, getting a, controlled substance, whether if it's, a steroid or a
Hmm.
painkiller, obviously the black market route. For one thing, you don't know what you're getting. Another thing is, it's illegal. clearly.
Hmm.
So, you'd have to go through a doctor, I would assume, and do it a legal way. But in that line of work, football, wrestling, I can't speak because I've never done that for a living. Um, I don't. It's hard to say. I
Hmm.
mean, it's obviously like whenever I get prescribed painkillers for dental work, very rarely do I take them. I mean,
Hmm.
I have, but there's times where I've literally thrown, like the last time I was given painkillers, I believe it was a tramadol. I
Oh,
literally just
wow.
threw them away. Yeah, I think I might have tried a half one. I don't even remember, but I threw it away because I get overly paranoid. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to take one of these and I don't even want to start anything. So I just threw the whole bottle in the garbage. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, certainly. I mean,
But it
it's
can be
great.
addictive, clearly, to
Yep.
people, and I
Hmm.
think painkillers in particular are highly addictive to people. So, I can't speak for everybody. I think in terms of performance enhancing drugs, I believe that they can be investigated. They are medicine. I believe there may be a right and a wrong way to approach things like
Hmm.
that. You have these anti-aging clinics and different things like that popping up that prescribe, testosterone and steroids
Right.
and anti-aging drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, if a person is healthy and their doctors, it's hard to say really because you are putting a drug into your body, um, and you got to look at your health. You need your health. All the muscles in the world, and poor health would be no good.
Hmm.
So I think people at sometimes they maybe weigh the cost out, and maybe sometimes they don't. I don't know. But I think that it is a medicine. A steroid is a medicine. It's used a lot of times to help recover people that may have been in accidents and things like that, car accidents, and help build muscle tissue. Um, and then obviously some people they're clearly doing it for cosmetic effects,
Hmm.
no doubt about it. You see it in a lot of the gyms. Um, and I think that a lot of times people are abusing things and they're not getting a prescription and they're just black marketing and who knows what they're getting sometimes. And then sometimes they're just clearly abusing things. And I can't speak for everybody. It's a hard thing to say. And I think painkillers are a very dangerous thing.
Hmm.
They can be highly addictive. But in terms of performance enhancing drugs, steroids, growth hormones, stuff like that, um, I don't know. You just have to, I think, look at the big picture. I think you need to obey the law, and I think you also need to look at your health and think, can you get results? What type of results are you looking for?
Hmm.
And weigh out the side effects and weigh out the benefits and all those different things. And kind of a touchy topic to talk about, and
Hmm.
stuff like that. I'm a Christian and I believe in doing things the right way and stuff like that. But I do believe you need to have a relationship with God and pray about things like that. Even if it's a legal thing, I think you should still pray about it. I know as a kid growing up, I always wanted muscles and stuff like that, and sometimes people they'll do anything they can to lose body fat, and so forth. But I think you definitely need to um, pray about things, and hopefully that's what God gives us guidance in life for, and do things legally and think of the health factor also, and you can't believe everything you read. I know online and stuff like that, but you do have to, think of your health and look at the big picture and stuff too. So,
Yeah, very
but
well said.
yeah, but in terms of drugs, alcohol, all those type of things, what pushes a person in that direction? There's got to be a root cause, I think,
Hmm.
whatever it is. And I think at some point you soul search within yourself and you say, what am I doing? Why am I taking this? Why am I doing this? Health. If you care anything, sometimes maybe if a person's in such a depressed state,
Hmm.
they don't think rationally and they're not thinking of health like you and I are thinking of health right now. You and I are thinking of if I take this or drink this, how will it affect my health?
Right.
I want to be healthy. I need to be healthy and all these type of things. And but somebody that's not in a rational state of mind and they're going through a heavy depression, they're maybe blinded and they're not health is the last thing on their mind.
Hmm. Yeah.
In fact, they may be trying to be detrimental to themselves in some way. So, um, popping a pill or drinking a bottle to them is just an escape at that point. So how do you get through to somebody that's in a even more, let's say somebody's in a constant state of drunkenness or drugs and their lifestyles become daily like that. At what point can you talk to a person and they're in a clear mind and get a clear message to them and have them receive it like we would have a conversation right now? That's the tricky part sometimes. So
Yeah, Shaun, I think what we're talking about here would be really best suited if it was added to a comprehensive fitness evaluation assessment, because this is nothing that we really address. We might casually say to our clients, like they might tell us, but if this was something that was added on to some kind of like health history form and ask them flat out, do you have a drug problem? Do you currently take drugs? Do you have an alcohol addiction? I think that would really be beneficial, because if you and I can't help them, at least then we can go and find the resources or the people that can, whether it be a psychiatrist or whether it be an addiction network or what have you. And also, secondly to that too, is that we're talking about drugs and alcohol here, but not to go off a tangent, but the other addictions, like you and I have seen it, food addiction, like the people who are morbidly obese and overweight, it's like you just said a couple of minutes ago, I think it's up here. I think it's really in the root of trying to find out what causes them to do that. And yeah, because I'm sure you've seen it as far as people who overeat and can't stop eating and they can't lose the weight and they're probably frustrated. You've seen that too, Shaun?
I have, and I want to jump back just for 1 second on the pro wrestler thing. That lifestyle, the drugs that they do, and everything.
Sure.
And you probably know a lot about this, being you're a fan and you've been involved in it yourself. But when I see it from the outside perspective, I just see a physical sport. These guys are on the road constantly. They all want to be a star. Very few of them are going to make it to the top. And they're just banging their bodies and getting beat up. And I think, when it comes to the steroids and the painkillers and things like that, I think they're just trying to keep up. And I would guess at some point they're just trying to keep up. But they must have an image in their head of living a certain lifestyle. I'm living the wrestler lifestyle. So I never saw the movie. Well, I did see part of it, Mickey Rourke, the wrestler, or something like that. I don't know if I ever watched the whole thing, but I can see this, kind of crazy mentality going along with being a wrestler to begin with. And then, the drugs just probably come along with it. Now, if you're a very disciplined person, you could probably say, and you could probably be a wrestler and never touch that stuff too. Need to see is the flip side. Can I accomplish these things without these drugs? And can I get better at technique and falling and so forth and so on, and just not rely on the painkillers all the time or whatever. But I think some of that stuff just gravitates towards certain arenas. Those drugs gravitate towards certain arenas, and it just becomes normal after a while. But on to the food addiction thing. I actually, at times myself, I can't even figure out myself in terms of food addiction, because I generally – I've learned to see how my body responds to things, but there's times I just want an ice cream cone. Those drumsticks ice cream cones that
I
you
love
get
those
from the store.
I could put away some of those myself.
Something like that. It just becomes a, they're in the fridge. Okay. And then, okay, I'll just have one of those, because they're here. And a moment hits me, and it just hits me like that. And I do speak to my clients about these things, and I'm really pretty open for the most part with my clients about those things. And I got to try to battle with food addiction and stuff and sweets.
Yep.
And but I find it easier to open up to my clients because, instead of putting myself on a pedestal, I say, I'm just like you. I have to make these choices too. And then all of a sudden the door's open. I think they let their guard down, and they see my guards down and stuff like that. And now we can talk. Now we can communicate, we can have a relationship, and now we're getting into personal training, and so I'm kind of learning that, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I've had junk food like binges and work out hard and so forth, and I've had the best results on my body after eating junk food. I've been eating drumsticks and worked out hard. So I'm still trying to figure out, some people say it's 80% diet, 20% working out. And I can't say that I agree with that because I've had my body, as long as I'm lifting weights really well, I feel like a lot of times I can eat just about anything. And then there's time, I don't know, it's always like moving and yes, eating healthy is good, but sometimes the urge gets so strong. I'm like, I just need a sweet or something, a drumstick, but
Hmm.
I think the trick is to stop at one drumstick and don't go to two or three, Yeah. So I think sometimes when that urge kicks in, I think psychologically, can you control it? Can you just keep it in moderation?
There
And
you
I
go.
have a feeling that drug addiction and alcohol addiction is kind of the same thing.
Hmm.
But it's like, can I have one drink or can I do something else instead of that drink? And I think it just gets a little out of hand and I think it just happens like that sometimes with some people and it spirals.
Yeah, definitely, Shaun. Absolutely. And, we've touched on so many things here. I can't thank you enough for being able to cover this. And we've talked for already 30 minutes. I can't believe a half hour flew by that fast.
Just
This has gone
quick,
by so
yeah.
quickly. It's always really good talking to you, Shaun, because, again, you have such great answers on these different topics that we're talking about. But in all seriousness, if anybody's watching, uh, Shaun and I are here. We're two fitness professionals telling you say no to drugs and put down the booze. Instead, make yourself a smoothie or a protein shake. How does that sound? So definitely, we need to get the word out there. And again, it is National Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week, so we want people to find local support if they need it. And I think most people have common sense; they know better. And I think the big thing, like you said, Shaun, it's all about fighting that addiction and quitting that craving and finding something else instead. Like you said, working out, exercise, diet, and nutrition, and that's just essential. So, very good job on that, Shaun. Very, very
Yeah.
nice, excellent.
And I do want to reiterate, I am all about health and fitness. I know we talked about, some different things there.
Yep,
And I know there's gray areas when you talk with people. Is this right? Is this wrong? And stuff
right.
like that.
Because there's so
And
much
at the end of
different information. You're right.
yeah, and there is, and at the end of the day, that's what I say. Being a Christian, I do pray about things, and probably should have prayed about more things in life than I have in the past. But it's about moving forward, really.
Uh huh.
And I believe God does give guidance, with questions you may have. But you and I were in the health and fitness business, and it's so easy to look at just the fitness part,
Hmm.
but health and fitness. So health is good because we look at the outside shell. Sometimes we look at the muscles, the body fat percentage, the tan, this or that. But you need health.
There you go.
Everybody at the end of the day, you need health, and health helps fitness, and they're
Hmm.
reciprocal and they help each other.
Yes.
So before you take anything or do anything, it's absolutely essential that you're aware of being healthy and taking care of your body. It's absolutely critical. And the mind also, that's another topic, that we didn't delve into too much there,
Hmm.
the spirit, the mind.
Yep.
And I often believe that we sort of approach these addictions in health and fitness with just a human mind. And I believe it goes much deeper than that. I believe sometimes that um, that root cause that may cause an addiction, how deep is that root? Where does
Hmm.
it come from? Is it genetic? Is it something that's been inherited? Is it some spiritual thing in some way? Is it something from childhood or something like that? Is it something that's dug itself in there that's caused you to respond to situations in certain ways that I just hit the bottle because that'll take it away right now.
Hmm.
And so I think at some point, an individual has to do, I guess, some type of soul searching, and that's why I thank God, that He's saved me and cleaned me up because it's so easy to get caught in a trap,
Hmm.
and it's easy for you and I to talk about this. We kind of have our own world and our families and stuff like this, but I know there's people out there that don't have families, and they may just come home and just hit the bottle all night long, and
Hmm.
then have to go face the world again tomorrow, and it just may be a dark cloud over their life sometimes. So I'm glad you're putting this out there, that maybe somebody will hear this one day and then just sort of, do a little soul searching in some way, and just think about things a little bit better. And I'm always open. If somebody wanted to call me for counseling, I'm always open for that, and we're all trying to weave our way through our lives and everything. And my
Absolutely.
job, I love my job, but at the end of the day, I speak into people's lives.
Hmm.
And if I can, speak into a person's life, you never know if somebody's on the edge of suicide. You never know if somebody has such serious edge of divorce, or they have such serious problems at home, but they are
Hmm.
good at hiding things.
Exactly.
And so I'm constantly, we're in positions to speak into people's lives.
Hmm.
And, we're psychologists
Pretty
a lot of
much.
times. My goodness,
Yeah.
sometimes I think I'm a psychologist more than a trainer, and
The,
it's,
the other analogy I'm sure you hear sometimes, sometimes members will tell me that I'm like their bartender because, again, just I'm listening to their problems or listening to their issues, but I don't really favor that analogy, though. I'd rather them tell me that I'm like their hairdresser. I like that one better. So that one's
yeah,
cleaner. So
yeah, right. But you can roll with it and everything. I know.
yes,
But
yes.
the fact of the matter though is when somebody does hire a trainer, they're what is their reason? They're looking for somebody to push them.
Yep.
They want somebody next to them. They want that appointment,
Hmm.
whatever it is. But we do become psychologists, and we
Yep.
do become friends, and we do become mentors, and so everywhere we speak, it may just seem like another day at the office,
Yeah.
and it's easy to fall into the routine. Oh man, I just gotta do my job and all this kind of stuff. But no, every moment's actually critical. And that person comes through the door, and there's an energy. I can tell when somebody comes to the door and they're, oh man, I just don't feel like being
Yep.
here or something like that. And so our job is to sort of absorb and return and turn this thing around in some way and make it a pleasant. I believe that's how you can be a successful trainer too.
Totally
When
agree.
people come in the door and they're feeling, negative, and you can put some life into them and make them walk out with a smile, I think your success rate as a trainer is going to be much better, for one thing, but also not to overlook the fact that you're helping a life,
Hmm.
clearly. So we're in a good business, no doubt.
Absolutely, Sean, and I couldn't have said it better myself. I totally agree with that.
Mhm.
What is the best methods of contact? Let's get that out there. You mentioned that people can call you up. What is the ways that they can reach you directly, please?
Yeah, my phone is 772-341-0834. That's my cell phone. And email peacefulwarrior8@bellsouth.net. And
Yes.
TeQuestaFitness.com.
Yeah, they've got your bio right on their website.
Bio right there. Yeah. And you
Great.
can contact me at the gym too. Sure.
That's excellent. Well, Sean, again, like always, you nailed it. Great interview here. This was perfect. I really appreciate you giving us the insight, and this was a fascinating discussion. And let's definitely have you back on next month for the next National Health Observance topic. And in the meantime, thanks again for your time, Sean, and for everyone else
Mhm.
watching. We're gonna have Sean's contact info as we fade to black here momentarily. So, Sean. Again, like always, my man, keep up the great work down there.
Likewise.
Yes, definitely enjoy Stewart, and we will see you next time, Sean.
Sounds good. Thanks, Taryn.
Thank you.